Hi guys, welcome back to Finesse. If you think you've already seen every good thriller out there, think again. 2025 has quietly become a goldmine for tension-packed, nerve-twisting stories. And Hulu and Disney Plus are loaded with titles that will keep you glued to the screen long after the credits roll. In today's video, we're breaking down 10 of the best thriller movies you should be watching right now. Sharp, gripping, atmospheric films that deliver suspense without spoiling a thing. Whether you're into psychological tension, slow-burn mysteries, or edge-of-your-seat chases, this list has something that'll hit you hard. So sit back, dim the lights, and let's dive straight into the thrills. Number 10. Sovereign. Jerry Kane lives life on the road like a man permanently on the edge. Drifting from one rundown motel to another with his teenage son, Joe, he preaches anti-government, sovereign citizen ideas with the conviction of a true believer. Every mile they travel, every stranger they meet, every rule they refuse to follow, it all feeds Jerry's growing belief that the world is poisoned, and the only way to survive is to stand outside it. But the illusion cracks fast. A tense encounter with local authorities forces Joe to see the world his father built for what it really is. Fragile, paranoid, and held together by anger masquerading as freedom. The safety net Jerry promises doesn't exist, and every step deeper into this ideology pulls Joe further away from the normal life he secretly longs for. Suddenly, the father-son road trip becomes a tight, suffocating descent into mistrust, violence, and fear. Joe is caught between loyalty and clarity, between the man who raised him and the reality opening his eyes. As their world closes in, both are pushed to confront truths they've been running from, and the cost of believing in something that can't save you. Sovereign is a stark, unsettling thriller about family, ideology, and the slow corrosion of a young mind trapped in an adult's war. It's raw, tense, and painfully intimate, the kind of story that sticks under your skin and asks how far love can bend before it finally breaks. Number 9. The Finest Hours. Bernie Weber isn't the kind of hero who walks into a room and demands attention. A quiet, soft-spoken Coast Guardsman stationed in a cold, wind-bitten corner of Cape Cod, he's a man who follows the rules, keeps his head down, and tries to do right, even when nobody notices. But on a night when the ocean turns vicious and the sky cracks open with a historic storm, his quiet world is ripped apart. Far out at sea, an oil tanker is literally torn in half, leaving dozens of men stranded on a sinking steel carcass. Their lifeline is disappearing by the minute. And back on shore, Bernie is ordered to attempt the impossible, to take a tiny wooden rescue boat into a monstrous, black-water nightmare that has already swallowed bigger ships whole. As Bernie pushes into the storm, the men trapped on the broken ship fight their own desperate battle for survival. They cling to cold metal walls, struggling against the rising waters and the crushing fear that help may never come. Two different worlds, one lost at sea, one braving it, move toward each other through roaring darkness. Every decision, every wave, becomes a razor-thin line between hope and finality. The Finest Hours is a rugged, old-school rescue thriller about ordinary people shoved into extraordinary danger. The film digs into quiet courage, not flashy, not loud, but the kind that shows up when everything else collapses. Armand. Armand is the kind of boy who slips through a room without making a sound. Quiet, observant, almost ghost-like in the way he absorbs everything around him. At a seemingly harmless school gathering, his stillness becomes a trigger. A small, fragile moment that cracks open something much bigger than anyone expected. What should have been an ordinary afternoon twists into a slow-burning nightmare of uneasy glances, tense whispers, and parents scrambling to protect truths they barely understand. The comfortable facade of polite conversation shatters as fear, pride, and old resentments begin to seep through the cracks, turning this perfect, well-behaved world into something jagged and unpredictable. Caught in the center is Elizabeth, a mother fighting to stay composed as the ground shifts beneath her. Each word she speaks feels carefully chosen, each breath measured, as she steps deeper into a situation filled with blurred memories, conflicting stories, and a quiet dread no one wants to name. Across from her stands another parent, guarded, defensive, and just as terrified, creating a tight, suffocating tension that never loosens. Armand is a sharp, unnerving psychological drama about the fragile stories adults build to feel safe, and how quickly those stories collapse when confronted with uncertainty. It's intimate, anxious, and painfully real. A study of fear, control, and the quiet chaos that erupts when the truth becomes something everyone is afraid to face. Number 7. American Murderer. Jason Derek Brown is a walking contradiction. Part charming drifter, part restless storm. On the sun-bleached streets of suburban Arizona, he drifts through life powered by quick smiles, easy lies, and a constant scramble to outrun the consequences stacking behind him. His days are stitched together with borrowed money, reckless decisions, and a desperation he refuses to acknowledge. But his smooth-talking hustle collapses the moment he steps too far into a world he can't charm his way out of. One reckless choice snaps his chaotic life in half, jolting him out of his makeshift fantasy and hurling him straight into the shadowy corners of the American underbelly. A place where charm doesn't matter and danger is always a breath away. Suddenly, Jason finds himself hunted, not just by federal agents closing in with cold precision, but by the weight of the secrets he's been running from for years. As the investigation tightens around him, he crosses paths with an unrelenting FBI agent whose quiet determination becomes a mirror to Jason's unraveling soul. Every move becomes a gamble, every escape a reminder that he's inching closer to a point of no return. American Murderer is a tense, edgy true crime drama about a man who mistakes charm for invincibility and finds himself swallowed by the darkness he created. It's gritty, unsettling, and painfully human, showing how a life built on lies can crumble in an instant, and how far someone will go when the truth finally catches up. Number 6. Jigsaw. A series of bodies begins appearing across the city, each marked with a signature no one ever expected to see again. The investigation spirals straight into chaos, and every cop on the case knows one thing for sure. If this symbol is real, then someone is playing a very old and very deadly game. But far from the noise and flashing sirens, a group of strangers wakes up trapped inside a cold, metal-lined room, their wrists bound, their memories fogged, and a terrifying voice echoing through the dark. Each of them knows they've done something they've spent years outrunning. And now those secrets are clawing their way back into the light. As the walls close in and the rules grow sharper, these players are forced into a brutal dance with their own guilt. Every step forward demands a sacrifice. Every mistake tightens the noose. And with each new clue, the investigators realize this nightmare isn't random. Someone is meticulously rewinding the legacy of a killer who was supposed to be long gone. Jigsaw is a tight, nerve-buzzing thriller about people cornered by the choices they thought they buried. It's about punishment, truth, and the terrifying idea that justice can come from the darkest places. Gritty, claustrophobic, and relentless, it asks one chilling question: when the game starts again, who really deserves to win? Number 5. The Boy. Greta Evans, a young woman running from a life that's fallen apart in all the wrong ways, finds herself tucked deep within the misty, old-world quiet of the English countryside. She arrives at a sprawling estate expecting a simple nanny job. Something slow, something gentle, something that won't stir up the mess she's carrying inside. But her calm, hopeful reset shatters the moment she meets her charge. A porcelain doll named Brahms, dressed like a little gentleman, treated like a living child, and bound by a strict list of unsettling household rules. What begins as absurd quickly curdles into eerie, as strange noises echo through the halls, belongings shift when she looks away, and the house itself seems to breathe in the shadows. Greta's quiet solitude twists into a nerve-pricking game of doubt and dread. She edges closer to the truth with Malcolm, the local grocery delivery man, who knows more about the family's tragedies than he lets on. Together, they navigate the mansion's suffocating silence, trying to decode what's real and what's a cruel trick of the past clawing its way back. The Boy is a slow-burning, atmospheric thriller that plays with paranoia in the best way. Tight, creeping, and soaked in gothic unease. Number 4. Signs. Graham Hess, a former minister trapped in the ruins of his own faith, is barely holding himself together. Living on the quiet but eerily isolated farmland of Pennsylvania, his days move in a fog of routine, loss, and a silence he can't outrun. Every corner of the house, every whisper of wind through the corn, reminds him of a life that slipped through his fingers. But his numb existence fractures the moment's strange, geometric scars appear overnight in his fields. Massive, deliberate, and impossibly precise. What should be nothing more than a bizarre curiosity becomes a chilling shift in the air, a sign that something is watching the Hess family from just beyond the tall stalks. Suddenly, Graham is pulled into a tense, slow-burning mystery that grips every second of his quiet life. Beside him is Merrill, his loyal but impulsive brother, equal parts strength and recklessness, trying to keep the family grounded as the world around them tilts into the uncanny. And the children, Morgan and Beau, sense an invisible threat pressing in on their home long before the adults acknowledge it. Signs is a sharp, atmospheric thriller about a broken man forced to confront the very thing he abandoned, belief. It's about dread creeping in through half-lit hallways, about the terror of the unknown humming in the corn at night, about a family holding tight as something unexplainable circles them. Number 3. The Host. Gangdu, a sluggish, scatterbrained snack stand worker on the banks of Seoul's Han River, isn't exactly the picture of responsibility. His days drift by in a fog of carelessness, half awake, half committed, and always one mistake away from trouble. But that lazy rhythm shatters in an instant when a towering, impossible creature erupts from the water. Its arrival isn't just chaos, it's a nightmare with teeth, legs, and hunger, ripping through the calm of the riverside and turning ordinary life into pure panic. In the middle of this unfolding terror, Gangdu is jolted into a fight far bigger than anything he's ever faced. What begins as a desperate attempt to protect his family slowly pulls him into a labyrinth of government missteps, buried guilt, and the cold machinery of survival. As the city spirals into fear, he is forced to dig into a strength he never knew he had. One born not from heroism, but from raw, furious love. The Host is a creature feature with a pulse, fierce, tragic, and strangely human. It blends monster mayhem with sharp political bite, painting a story where the real horrors aren't always the ones hiding in the water. It's messy, emotional, and unforgettable. A chaotic storm that asks whether an ordinary man can rise against an extraordinary terror when everything he loves is on the line. Number 2. Saw. Two men wake up in a dank, forgotten bathroom. A place that feels less like a room and more like a confession booth made of rust and rot. One of them is Dr. Lawrence Gordon, a man who has spent years building the perfect facade, carefully stitching together a life he barely lives in. The other is Adam, a photographer drifting through existence, surviving day to day with no purpose, no anchor, no direction. But all that emptiness suddenly hardens into terror when they realize they aren't alone. A presence lurks in the room, not a person, but a design, a twisted blueprint left behind by someone who studies human weakness the way others study anatomy. What begins as confusion slowly mutates into a psychological chokehold. Every word exchanged between Adam and Dr. Gordon becomes heavier, every clue in the room sharper, every second more suffocating. The walls feel closer, the silence feels louder, and the truth feels like a blade waiting to drop. Saw isn't about gore, it's about pressure. It's about two flawed men being forced to peel back the skin of their own lives and look at what's rotting underneath. It's about choices, consequences, and the terrifying idea that someone out there believes you don't truly value your life, until you're forced to fight for it. Dark, claustrophobic, and relentless, Saw crawls under your nerves and stays there, asking one brutal question. When you're pushed to the edge of your humanity, who do you become? Number 1. The Fly. Seth Brundle, a brilliant but unraveled scientist, lives inside a dim, cluttered warehouse laboratory, buried in machines, equations, and the kind of ambition that keeps a man awake for days. His life is a loop of experiments, isolation, and the quiet desperation of someone trying to outsmart the limits of nature. Everything shifts when Veronica Quaife, a sharp, no-nonsense journalist, steps into his chaotic world. Her curiosity slices through his awkward exterior, pulling him out of his bubble and into a connection he never expected or knew he needed. That spark becomes the fuel for his biggest breakthrough yet. But one crucial experiment, one single miscalculation inside his prized machine, sends an invisible crack straight through his body and mind. Slowly, quietly, something begins to change. Something Seth can't explain, can't control, and can't escape. As his transformation tightens its grip, Seth plunges into a harrowing unraveling, his brilliance bending into something far more terrifying. Veronica watches the man she thought she understood slip away, caught in a spiral of scientific fallout and bodily horror he never intended to awaken. The Fly is a raw, unsettling descent into mutation, obsession, and the terrifying consequences of pushing too far. It's tense, tragic, and unforgettable. A reminder that even the brightest minds can be consumed by their own creations. That's all for today. If you enjoyed the list, make sure to like, subscribe, and drop your favorite pick in the comments. Catch you in the next one.